aside our enmities and band together, we will die. And then it doesn't matter whose skeleton sits on the Iron Throne.
Hey everybody, thanks for coming to watch the show. This newest season of Game of Thrones has been quite a ride, and there was a lot to take in. So many story arcs have come to an epic end, and even more have opened up. All of this made me want to talk about this season and the show as a whole, and kind of compare it. With the end of the show only one season away, it got me thinking about the start of it all, and how it's changed over the years. From season 1 and 2 to being basically just almost entirely sticking to the books, and the new uncharted territory of season 6 and 7, things have really changed a lot. That raises the question, is the show still true to its roots? Is this what George R.R. Martin had in mind for his story? In short, my opinion is that it's vastly different than the show was when there was books to guide it. Of course, we won't really know for sure if that's true until the last book is released, but my instincts are telling me that it's changed quite a bit. While I'm not saying I didn't like the new season, there were a couple things that I wasn't too crazy about, and I wanted to talk about them. There were a ton of great things about this show, though, so to kind of balance things out, here's a couple things I didn't really like in this season and a couple that I did. I know a lot of people felt the same way about this because I saw it was the biggest complaint. While it makes sense that as the show comes to an end, things come to a head much faster than before, it still feels somewhat rushed when compared to the overall feel of the show before. When you think back to season 1, it took 10 episodes for Ned to get betrayed and everything with his family to happen. In the most recent season, characters jumped around from several different regions in one episode, big battles occurred almost every episode, and much of the intriguing dialogue, schemes, and double crosses that made the show so great were largely absent. As I said, it makes sense for these things to happen a little bit faster now, but are they moving too quickly? I think so, but what do you think? When the show was still in its first few seasons, it was infamous for killing off those we loved the most. Ned Stark, his son Robb and wife Catelyn, Commander Mormont, Khal Drogo, and so many others. It made us hate the show but love it at the same time, because most shows and stories never dare to kill off even one main character, much less the huge amount that Game of Thrones has. Things are very different now with the return of Jon Snow and the many last-minute escapes many characters have gone through recently. When Jon died at the end of Season 5, it felt like yet another beloved character had died and would never be back. When he returned in Season 6, things began to grow further and further from the feeling we had in the beginning, where at any moment a main character could meet an untimely end. In Episode 6 of Season 7, we saw several characters come inches away from death and face insurmountable odds, only to be saved by extremely lucky circumstances or a last-second save from someone else. That's not even mentioning Jaime falling into a lake fully armored and somehow being pulled out by Bronn, or only a handful of heroes fending off the entire army of the dead for several minutes with no major deaths. While I'm not complaining that we haven't lost someone in a while, it feels more like a Marvel movie where none of the heroes are ever really in danger and we never really have to worry about it, instead of the edge-of-the-seat suspense the show used to give us. It hasn't been all bad though, and I don't mean to sound like I'm complaining. Season 6 and 7 gave us some of the best action and battle scenes we've had out of Game of Thrones. From the Battle of the Bastards to Drogon's Rain of Fire on the Lannister army, there hasn't been any shortage of big battles and exciting scenes. It's also really exciting to see things coming together and characters that have been worlds apart for all this time finally coming face to face. I thought it was especially cool to finally get undisputed proof that Jon Snow is undoubtedly Aegon Targaryen. Although we found this out at the exact moment he was hooking up with Daenerys was a bit weird, it was still nice to see that that finally came to fruition. I also like the arc they are taking with Jaime and Cersei having totally different views and ultimately parting from one another despite being so close all this time. Although the whole premise of them being siblings and also lovers has always been a little bit off-putting, I've come to like Jaime a lot more than I thought I would in the beginning. I'm interested to see how his story will wrap up. Will he totally join up with Jon and Daenerys, or will he only fight with them for a little while and then go back to Cersei? It's up for debate, but either way I'm excited to see it. Overall, I really enjoyed Season 7 of Game of Thrones, even though it was a lot different than the rest of it. Up till the final episode, we hardly got any good character moments, and it was mostly just action, but in the final episode I think it really felt a lot more like the older show and gave us some of that classic Game of Thrones feelings. I get that everything is coming to an end now and things have to get ramped up a lot faster, but I still missed that element, and so I'm glad they did the last episode the way they did. I enjoyed seeing Tyrion speaking to Cersei as just a brother, and her finally listening to him a little bit, and I also liked the Hound seeing how his brother had become zombified. I think there's definitely a big fight on the horizon between them, and I'm excited to see who comes out alive. Hopefully it's the Hound, but, you know, things don't usually go the way you want them to on this show. I'm also looking forward to seeing what the future holds for Game of Thrones in general. I just hope that it's in the final season that it remembers the reason we all love it. We didn't come to Game of Thrones for action, battle, and big CGI dragons, even though that's great to see. We came to this show because of the characters and the writing and the intriguing story, and that's what I want to see more of in the next season. Me personally, I love the intimate character scenes we get that make us feel like they're real to us. I think my favorite scene from this season was right at the end when Sansa and Arya stood on the wall of Winterfell and recited the words that their father had told them in the very first episode so long ago. It said, "When the snow falls and the white winds blow, the lone wolf dies, but the pack survives." And that really just feels like the quintessential Game of Thrones quote. Just really brings us back to the way it felt in the very beginning. What do you think? Do you like the more fast-paced and action-heavy Game of Thrones we have now? Or would you rather go back to the way it was in the beginning, or enjoy some kind of a mixture of the two? Let me know down in the comments what your favorite scene was, and if you agree with what I said about Season 7 in general. If you like this video, please share it and like it so more people can see. I really appreciate everyone that watched it, and I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, please subscribe for weekly videos on a wide variety of subjects. Thanks, and I'll see you next time.